We're going to discuss automated fuel tax reporting and fuel ticket reconciliation within LoadTrek. Fuel tax reporting is not a paperless function. Paper is required. Paper receipts are required. However, we can automate the process and reduce some of the paperwork. And it's a two-step process. The first step is the reconciliation of fuel tickets, which could be done by a dispatcher, driver, supervisor. The second part is the actual reporting. This is done by the person who actually files the fuel taxes. Let's go to step one. And we do that by clicking on the fuel pump icon, fuel purchase within the LoadTrek web portal. So start from the top and working down. We have a start date and an end date of fuel tickets that we're going to validate. Fuel tickets that are entered into the system by the drivers are not validated. They become validated when a supervisor checks them, determines that they're okay, and clicks validate. It's a reconciliation that tells the system that we approve of these entries. By default, drivers will make fuel ticket entries every time they fuel up, and then they'll turn in the paper receipt to the supervisor, and the supervisor will take the paper receipt that's been turned in and make sure that it matches what the driver has entered. So from the top down, we have a date range. We'll go from the 25th to the 4th, and then we can select a group. We can look at all equipment, or we can pick a group. Vehicles are put into different groups based on geography or usage. For now, we're just going to look at every group, and then we can apply filters. And for now, we're going to leave the filter wide open, but we can look at only those validated tickets, in other words, tickets that a supervisor has looked at, or we can look at only unvalidated tickets, tickets that nobody's looked at yet. Onboard generated tickets, these are fuel tickets that have been entered in the cab of the truck by a driver. Manual tickets, and we'll show you how to do that. Manual tickets are when the driver forgets to enter a fuel purchase, forgets to turn in the receipt, and we have to enter that information later. Original tickets are those that the driver entered as is, and edited are those where we have to manually enter a ticket, or we had to correct something that the driver did. So we're going to leave it on all. So let's select the first ticket, and as we select the first ticket, we can either edit or double click. Both do the exact same thing. And let's look at this fuel ticket. 49146 was entered by the driver. The date and the time was automatically captured by the onboard computer. You can edit this if you want to, but it was automatically captured by the onboard computer. The odometer reading was automatically captured by the onboard computer, as is the proximity, the nearest city and state to where the fueling occurred. You can re-enter or type in the state, PA, but this was captured automatically as well. The location really doesn't matter. We have a proximity already, but you might have a preferred fueling network with locations set up. You can talk to your LoadTrek administrator about that. Next, we have the driver who was signed on when the fueling occurred. The customer is generally left blank unless you're a federal contractor hauling mail for the post office. Otherwise, we leave this blank. The vehicle number is captured automatically by the onboard device. The gallons purchased was entered by the driver. The price per gallon was entered by the driver. And the total cost right here is a calculation of this field and this field. So this ticket looks right. We click validate, and we can either save it, or let's go to the next ticket. So I'm going to double click the next ticket. We can agree that all this looks right. We can click validate next, which brings up the next one. We quickly scan this, comparing it to our paper copy of the ticket. Looks good. And we just keep validating, going right on down the road. Now here you'll notice I can't validate until I give it a driver. Someone drove this truck, but they weren't logged in. So we'll assign it to a driver. Validate next. So by validating a fuel ticket, that means that we have looked at it, the fuel ticket is correct, it's accurately entered, and later when we file our fuel taxes, we can be confident to know that we've captured all the fuel tickets. The check mark here on the very far left-hand column tells us that these fuel tickets have been validated. The ones without the check mark tells us the fuel tickets haven't. If the driver forgets to enter a fuel ticket, that's where we go new fuel ticket. We can type in the number, and again, we've received a paper copy or a spreadsheet, or we have some notification that fuel was purchased, but the driver didn't record it. Ticket number, the date, the time, which generally doesn't matter, the state where it was purchased, which does matter, location doesn't matter, driver, we must have the vehicle, of course, and we'll just type in a vehicle name right here. We'll put it on the office portable. Purchase 100 gallons at 2.39 a gallon. We hit tab, calculates out to $239. Yes, that is correct. Save it, and that's how we enter a new ticket. So again, starting from the top and working down, these are the dates that we're reconciling. This is where we pick our group that we're going to work with. This is where we apply filters. Let me just show you an example. Let's say that I'm in the GJ district, but I only want to look at the unvalidated fuel tickets. Not all fuel tickets, just the unvalidated tickets, just the ones that I haven't looked at. I select validated, I hit this refresh button, and every fuel ticket in the GJ district has been validated. I have nothing to look at. Perfect. So let's set this back to where we had it. Hit refresh again. Now we see all of our fuel tickets for this date range. When we click this button right here, show totals, it shows for each group the number of tickets, number of gallons, the average price per gallon, and the total price of fuel purchases for those geographic locations. So step one is making sure that we have all the fuel purchases captured. Again, for filing fuel taxes, paper tickets, paper receipts are required, and we have to keep track of them. We have to register them to make sure that we have all the fuel tickets captured. So that's step one. Step two is actually running the report where we gather information that we can file fuel taxes from, and that's obtained by going down to this IFTA icon right down here. So again, on the LoadTrek web portal main page, click on IFTA, and let's select the month of January 2015. So we'll go from January 1st to January 31st. And let's generate the report. Now we can group these by vehicle or by state. Currently these are all grouped by vehicle. Let's look at it by state. Let's take the state of Arkansas. So in Arkansas, for the month of January, we ran 28,482.3 miles. If we need to look at a specific vehicle, we can click on that vehicle, and let's just pick this vehicle right here. And this will show us in the month of January every trip that this vehicle made in the state of Arkansas. So let's just pick the 28th. When I pick the 28th, I see that we drove 158.9 miles in the state of Arkansas. We added no gallons. This MPG column over here is a calculated column. We only see that when we have fuel added. So we know that we drove 158.9 miles on that day, and we had no fuel entries. This is the driver trip report. And with a proper form filed with your IFTA reporting state, you can use this report in lieu of the handwritten trip reports that drivers are doing now. Let's go back and let's run a slightly bigger report. So let's do it for the last quarter of 2014. So that'll be from October 1st to December 31st. And let's run it for vehicle group US-ND all. And let's group it by state. So for this particular group of vehicles, we have 3,000 miles in the state of Arkansas, 536 in the state of Colorado, 2,467 in Iowa, and you can see the list here. Of course, because this is a North Dakota group that we're looking at, the bulk of the distance traveled was in North Dakota for 170,122.4 miles. And again, you can click on any vehicle, any date, and that is your driver trip report. So step one is to reconcile the fuel tickets that you have, make sure they're accurate, enter any fuel tickets that you don't have, and then step two is to click on the IFTA icon and run the reports. And it's from these reports that you obtain your totals that you use to file your state fuel taxes. If you have any questions, please contact your LoadTrek administrator or contact LoadTrek at www.loadtrek.net.